we turn our attention to Columbus and to preview and talk about the Buckeyes. And by the way, if you miss any of this interview, maybe you're going to be running into the house or whatever, it's going to be up at Spartan Nation on Friday in my article. It's going to be the featured podcast in my scouting report and prediction. We bring in Chip Minich. He is a really good writer. He writes and does a podcast for the ozone.net. But I'm going to tell you this. He has a blog, and I've never talked to him about his blog, that I really like, From the Mind of Minich. And it's to me, it's really fun. He just covers a lot of different stuff. I just like the way he thinks. I like him as a person. I like him as a writer. I've been on his show before and really enjoyed it, but I just genuinely really like him, so I wanted to bring him on to talk about the Buckeyes. Chip Minich. Chip, how are you, bud?
I'm great. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. It's great to be with you.
Well, I appreciate it. Listen, I think it's going to be I want to make this statement. I have done several interviews in Columbus and around the state of Ohio this week, and I'm going to tell you, I have immense respect for Urban Meyer and his resume. Don't particularly care for some of the decisions he makes or how he makes decisions, but as a football coach with his resume, you have to respect it if you're being fair. That being said, I believe one of Urban's biggest weaknesses is his arrogance. And I said before the year I thought Ryan Day did not have his resume of accomplishment. There's no doubt about that. But I really like Ryan Day. I think one area where he's going to be a lot better coach than Urban is I don't think he is as arrogant. I don't think he's married to his system. I think he's married to winning. You can see how his system changed from being the OC last year to this year because his quarterback changed. I know, and I'm not belittling Meyer, but I think Ryan Day has a chance to be a great one. Have you seen anything so far to disagree with me?
No, not whatsoever. I would say that all of your statements regarding Urban Meyer about on a national level, let's just put this out there that there's a lot of people who dislike Urban Meyer, that there were a lot of things that happened even before he took the reins in Columbus that rubbed people the wrong way. You know, I don't want to rehash all of that for you or your listeners. You already know all that. When it came to the hiring of Ryan Day, I'm gonna admit I was one of those people that was a little bit surprised. But then when you looked at it at the timing, it was kind of coinciding with the early signing period for recruiting, the familiarity with the program, all those things that Gene Smith talked about when Ryan Day was handed over the keys. And let's face it, everything that Ryan Day has done so far has not, if there's been any kind of cause for concern or alarm, I mean, those have completely dissipated. When you look at the offensive performances that Ohio State's been putting up for the first part of the season, the defense looks completely different, and that's a credit to Ryan Day because he looked at the assistants that were on last year's team. He decided, something, we're going to go in a different direction, went out, hired Greg Madison from Al Washington from the University of Michigan, brought in Jeff Hafley, who he had coached with in the NFL, and that unit looks completely resurrected. So I completely believe that Ryan Day is certainly on a tremendous positive path in his first year as Ohio State's head coach.
Chip, break down the Ohio State offense for us. They're deadly, but that Michigan State defense is very good as well. I made this comment, and it stirred up a lot of waters in Ohio this week. When Michigan State went down there and beat them with two backup quarterbacks, Damian Terry and O'Connor, that it was Urban's arrogance that cost Ohio State the game, not Michigan State beating them. I'm curious, when you look at this Michigan State defense, they're very good, but their weak point is people that dink and dunk and then proceed. This is a very potent offense who's going to take what you give them, not just try to do what they do. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think when you look at the Ohio State offense, Justin Fields, he's transfer quarterback from Georgia. He came in, and so far, now I'm probably jinxing him, so far he has not thrown any interceptions. We'll see after this weekend if my jinx, hopefully my powers are not anywhere close to coming true. But he has been completely flawless in the turnover department. He's listed at 6'3", 223, very strong arm. very mobile, but he's atypical of the type of quarterbacks that a lot of Ohio State fans had grown used to during the Urban Meyer era. With Justin Fields, you're looking at more of a passer and a guy who can run when or if he needs to, but that's not going to be his first instinct. I think the Ohio State offense, truth be told, is built around running back J.K. Dobbins. He's a junior, listed 5'10", 217. He's the kind of guy that Ohio State, if you look at it offensively, they're going to hand the ball off to him. They're going to try and get him involved in the passing game. He is the catalyst of the Ohio State offense. He's coming off a really good game last week against Nebraska. Just a really, he in career-wise, he's over 3,000 yards rushing as a junior. So he's definitely the kind of guy that I would believe that the Michigan State defense is going to be keying on throughout the entire game. And as far as the wideout, when you look at the wide receivers that Ohio State has this year, they replaced a number of good wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Paris Campbell, Johnny Dixon, who are now playing in the NFL. But they haven't missed a beat when it comes to KJ Hill returns as a fifth-year senior. He's making his mark, moving up the Ohio State record book and becoming possibly the all-time receptions leader for Ohio State. Benjamin Victor is a senior, 6'4", 199 pounds, and a true freshman who is emerging. He wears number 5, Garrett Wilson, listed 6 foot, 188 pounds. He's going to be a star for Ohio State. He's starting to show flashes of brilliance already. So it's a really good Ohio State offense. I completely agree with you, Hondo, that Ryan Day, he runs elements of a spread offense, but unlike Urban Meyer, he is not completely devoted to running that one style of offense where the quarterback is going to be a dominant ball carrier. He builds the offense around the skills and talents of what he has, and so far the results speak for themselves.
Let's turn to the defense, where I think they have one of the most underrated defenses in America, and they're highly rated. I just think they haven't played enough teams for people to say, wow, they are elite. I believe they are elite, and I think if I'm Ohio State, I have to love my defensive matchup against a very weak Michigan State offense.
The guy that it all starts with is on the outside, the defensive end, number 2, Chase Young, listed 6'5", 265 pounds. I believe Coach D'Antonio said, that he might not even be human or something like that. I'm not
Yep, he did.
accurate in terms of. Go ahead.
No,
he
did. He did.
Okay, so he is. I'm certain that Coach D'Antonio and the Michigan State offensive coaches they're going to be double teaming him. I know that the Michigan State offensive line is kind of in a state of flux at the moment, but he's too good to line up and tell your left tackle going ahead and block him single-handedly. You're asking to get Brian Lewerke hurt in that manner. On the interior of that defensive line, Davon Hamilton, Jayshon Cornell, those are guys that are, they're not overly flashy, but very, very effective. And on the other side of the defensive line, another senior, Jonathan Cooper, he's returning from injury, so don't be surprised if Ohio State spells him with Tyler Friday. They also have another true freshman, Zach Harrison, who's played a lot. If there's an area of the Ohio State defense that has dramatically improved, and again, this kind of speaks to the coaching that the players are receiving this year and the scheme that they're playing this year in comparison to last, is the linebacker core. When it comes to middle linebacker, Ohio State alternates Tuff Borland also with Baron Browning. They also on the outside, Malik Harrison is a senior. He is very, very fast, very versatile. And on the other side, and this is a guy who was a very popular scapegoat of the Ohio State defense by the fans last year, but a guy who's been playing extremely well is a junior by the name of Pete Werner, listed at 6'3", 239 pounds. I'm not sure if you happened to catch last week against Nebraska, but there's a well-circulated clip of Pete Werner putting just a lethal, it was a completely legal hit, mind you, but very, very solid hit that certainly captivated the television audience last week against Nebraska. So the secondary, Jeff Okudah is a junior. He's a likely top 10 NFL draft choice after this year. On the other corner, Damon Arnett. And then at senior free safety, is senior Jordan Fuller. And then at strong safety, they have Brendan White, who sometimes shapes up, you want to think of as maybe kind of as a linebacker within the Ohio State defensive parlance. They refer to as a bullet. I don't think they're going to be playing much of that because since Michigan State plays that kind of more traditional pro set style offense, I don't think that you'll see White lined up at linebacker as much, but it's a much, much improved Ohio State defense than a year ago.
We have everybody on this show. And I'm not one to go out and pimp. In fact, I get so many people that want me to pimp their books and everything else. I always tell them, send it to me and I will read it. And if I like it, I will talk about it and have you on. And if I don't, I'll just give away the book. I'm just not a pimp on that. I don't do it, but you got to read the Mind of Minich blog. I really like his blog. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. I get a little ticked off with him because I don't think he writes enough at it. When he does, it's really good. I'm gonna guess. My son reads it too. Probably.
Okay.
My son several months ago, before the NFL draft, brought me one of his blogs on the NFL draft that I thought was really good, and I check it about once a month. And I can truthfully tell you, he went months without blogging. Then I saw something right at the beginning of the season. I think it's when they played Indiana, and I haven't seen anything since. So I wish he would blog more because, quite frankly, I'm going to quit checking. But he's from the Mind of Minich. You need to check out his blog. It's really good. It's from the Mind of Minich. I think there's even a number in there, but I've got it saved in my favorites. So isn't there a number there, like from the Mind of Minich 1 or something?
Yeah. Like I had some kind of an issue with Blogger, so I had to renumber it. So yeah, and I appreciate the polite scolding. Yeah, I haven't been blogging nearly as much, as a contributor to the Ozone.net, and I also do stuff for Athlon Sports and podcasts for Ozone.net on the Silver Bullets podcast. And so, yeah, on the personal note, I certainly appreciate all of the kind things that you said about you reading it, and I'm thrilled to hear that your son's reading it. And so I will take your gentle scolding to heart and try to blog more than I have.
Well, here's the thing, Chip. People enjoy what you do. All right, I got to get to two other things real quick, and I'm up against a break.
Absolutely.
What's your prediction score-wise for the game?
Okay. You know as well as I do, Michigan State, they always play Ohio State tough. I don't care what anyone says. This team is just physically tough. I'm going to say it's going to be a close one, but Ohio State pulls out. In the fourth quarter, pulls away, I should say, and I'm going to go with Ohio State 35, Michigan State 17.
All right, now, last question. As you know, Chip, last summer, I was the first person to report. I was the very first one. I did not expect Urban Meyer to return because I think it shocked a lot of people, and I said it last year on your podcast when you guys interviewed me. Didn't expect him back. I took a lot of grief. I was right. The same people who were telling me then that Urban was not going to return are telling me they fully expect him to coach college football again. These are people that are close to Urban who I trust. I'm curious because the Florida people were angry when he went to Ohio State. How angry are the Ohio State people going to be if he goes somewhere else? Because I think they need to brace for it. It's happening. I don't know if it's going to happen this year. If Clay Helton gets fired, I think it is going to happen. Because I think he wants that job, at least talking to the people I know. I think he also would be interested in Florida State. But I'm curious, tell me this, how angry would Ohio State fans be in 50 seconds if Urban coaches again?
Personally, I don't think he's going to coach again. That's where you and I have a difference of opinion, but I respect yours immensely. I think, something, if it's next year, I think Ohio State fans will be genuinely surprised. I don't know if there's going to be the level of anger that, he experienced from the Florida fans, like Ohio State fans. I think, going out to USC, going down to Florida State, I think it's a little different. One thing is for certain, he's not going to go up to Ann Arbor. I mean, he shot that one down.
That was so stupid. That was just stupid. All right, 10 seconds.
I agree. But I really don't. I personally think he's done. I think with his health and with the money he's made and the money he is making from Fox, and he has 2 grandchildren now, I think he looks at, as much as he misses it, maybe he does come back. I think
that's Chip Minich,
next year.
The Ohio State guy. Love him, enjoy him. Ozone.net where you can catch his podcast or mind him. And it's just find him on Twitter. We'll be back.